A day like yesterday is admittedly pretty damn hard to follow up. Melissa's Garden was one of the more memorable dives I've ever done, which is saying something after our trips to Thailand and Komodo. Fortunately, in a place like Raja, even a less than top tier day is going to have its highlights. We were now down south in the general vicinity of Mosul, and the first dive site of the day was going to be something called Two Trees. The basic plan was to follow the wall all around this little island, checking all the alcoves for any critters. When you go on a Liveaboard like this, generally each dive briefing includes what things you might see on the dive site, and they highlight one or two things as particularly special. Keep an extra eye out for this. For Two Trees, Clement had highlighted the disco clam. It's this really cool thing that not only has this bright yellow and orange coloration, but if you look close, you can actually see electrical current arcing across its lips. As an added bonus, the signal for, hey, I found a disco clam, is Travolta's dance from Saturday Night Fever. Needless to say, I was quite happy when I found the first one. Beyond that, this was a cool dive and all, but the lighting wasn't the best because we were overcast. And again, it was just hard to follow up on yesterday. Breakfast, as usual on a boat like this, was really awesome. The coffee was so-so, and we were soon getting ready for our second dive, which this time would be at Puri Pinnacle.
As the name Puri Pinnacle would suggest, it's just an underwater pinnacle, but it's more than one pinnacle.
Similar to when I'm above water, I'm not the biggest fan of crowds when diving, but I will say it is a really awesome effect when you're dropping onto a dive site and you have multiple groups below you and their air bubbles are coming up. Puri actually means anchovy, and there are basically thousands and thousands of these little anchovy-like fish here. It is just hypnotizing being in the middle of all this and watching the patterns as the fish move back and forth and spook as predators come through. Even more amazing, this isn't a lot of fish for this area. If we'd been here at a different time of year, there would have been even more. Due to Tater's very visible joy, the entire dive group by now was on the lookout for clownfish and turtles. Fortunately, those are two things that are usually pretty easy to find. We were technically on the lookout for manta rays here. They're one of those things that can appear randomly out of the blue, but we didn't have any luck. At least not yet. This bit actually reminded me of diving back home in Southern California. I usually spend a lot of time dodging in and out of rock channels at Shaw's Cove. Titan triggerfish are one of the common encounters in this area of the world. They are these huge fish that can get up to like 30 inches long, and they have some very prominent teeth sticking out of their mouth. It is well known that they are prone to attacking divers, particularly if you get too near their nest. This time I managed to somehow trigger this guy's attention just as I was swimming along. He ended up attacking me for a while. I fought him off with my fins, and eventually he lost interest in me and then started attacking another diver that was near me. Fortunately, we were able to drive him off with nothing more than some slightly chewed fins. I have heard of them actually taking chunks out of divers though if they get skin contact.
That last dive, the Puri Pinnacle dive, was absolutely magical, amazing. I've never been in anything quite like that, I don't think. Some things that came close in Komodo, but nothing quite that magical. Matt's been in some similar things in Thailand. He said a couple of the folks when he came up said that's it, that's their favorite dive yet. I'm not sure I would say that. I think the dive where we came up on the ridge towards the end of the dive and we saw all the bright yellow button corals and the many, many different types of fish, that one made a bigger impression on me, but really, really magical. We're down in the Mosul area now, the more southern area of Raja, and we've had more sunshine today than any of the other days. It's been mostly pretty cloudy overall. It's really making the little islands very, very beautiful, and can't wait to see what it does on this next dive, this first afternoon dive. I think the colors are going to be amazingly beautiful under the water as well.
Sloped wall kind of on the border in between in spots, and it goes down to the sand.
Buoy started out as another fairly deep wall dive, and these were quickly becoming my less favorite of the various dives we were doing, both because of crowds like you can see here, and because it tended to focus more on little tiny things versus kind of the bigger macro, oh my god, I'm in the middle of all of this stuff that Jen and I both prefer. A lot of time was spent looking for pygmy seahorses, which are here on this coral but are just impossible to capture on the GoPro setup I have. They're one of those things that looks just amazingly cute in the pre-dive briefings or pictures you can find online, and then you see them in person and it's this little tiny thing down in the gloom, really deep, not really doing anything. This guy might look like he's in distress, but if you look closer, there's those little electric blue fish. This is actually a cleaning station, and he's just rolling around to give him access, having a grand old time. Jen was now showing proper precaution around triggerfish after seeing him go after me so hard, but this guy kind of just ignored her. Our final dive of the day was a night dive at Whalew Wall. Some of the participants and our group leader Clement didn't really want to do the night dive. It's not uncommon because it tends to be a little colder, etc., and people are tired. But we were down to dive if there was an option, so in we went. As usual, I love night diving, and I am eternally frustrated at my inability to capture much when I'm trying to film it with my GoPro and basic light set. This dive was different from the last couple of night dives we've done because instead of going around in the sand and trying to find little things, we were generally in the corals looking at slightly bigger things. Something that's common to see but still really cool is these crinoids. They're also called feather stars, and they move around particularly at night. They come in all sorts of colors and patterns, and they're just fascinating to watch as they move through the water if you can catch them. This bubble-looking thing is something I'd seen all over the place, but I'd never remembered to look up when I got back on the boat. It's actually called bubble algae, sea grape, or sailor's eyeball. It's a species of algae and is actually one of the largest known unicellular organisms. They usually look kind of a metallic greenish, and they are very hard if you poke them. After about 50 minutes, we were done for the day, returned to the boat for a hearty dinner, and then went to bed ready for the last day of 2024.